How do you survive adversity in life? Well, there's an interesting parallel in nature between failure and a lot of mass, size, being too big. I remember when Walmart used to expand, they were building super centers all over the place, and that was bigger than the original Walmart that used to be around back in the early 90s. Walmart was a smaller store, and then they added the grocery and they added the food and a lot of other things that, made those stores just enormous, mammoth stores. And along with that came more problems for the company because a lot of those stores were just very difficult to manage. And you could see that because just looking at Walmart stores, you would always see that they were torn up and they looked terrible. And they just were really, really unappealing. Like, you just would avoid a Walmart store at all costs because you knew it was going to be a disaster in there. Just total chaos. Nothing the way it should be. And why was that? Well, part of it was because when you take the size of the building and the number of employees that they have to have and the complexity of managing a larger piece of territory, it's harder. It just is harder. And it's the same thing with the Roman Empire. It got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it got so large it couldn't hold itself together, and then it splintered into what would become the Byzantine Empire and the other things that followed that. Eventually, it cascaded into total failure, and in many ways, that failure was the result of expanding to be too large and then not being able to adapt and not being able to be nimble. When you look at the Ice Age back in the I don't know, long time ago, when there were mammoths and all that kind of stuff, they say that half of the big animals like mammoths and enormous wolves and all kinds of stuff that used to exist back then went extinct. And it gave rise to a lot of smaller animals that were able to thrive when the big ones were not able to adapt. And it's the same thing over and over again, whether you're talking about the size of a battleship versus a smaller, more nimble cruiser in a navy, or you're talking about the ability of animals to adapt in the Ice Age, or you're talking about the size of a retail store or the size of an empire. The truth always is that being small and adaptable is a much more useful skill set than being at the top of the food chain. And what's really interesting is that when you look at life, we live in a society where people are always trying to look like they're the alpha. They're trying to look like they're at the top of the food chain. They want to be the top dog. They want to be chasing that promotion. They want to have the higher salary and the nicer house and the bragging rights and all of those things that make them feel like they have a sense of status. And yet the truth is that all of those things that are superficially going to make you feel like you are climbing the ladder are actually a treadmill of death, because they're going to prevent you from being nimble and agile enough to do what you need to do to survive when times get tough. If you know how to survive on very little, then when times get rough, that's no problem to you. Now, maybe you're not super skilled. Maybe you're not able to go out there and live off the land 100% and hunt every single bit of food that you eat, and build your own house and just be 100% ruggedized, living off the land, off the grid. Maybe that's not you, but you can be remarkably well prepared just by learning the art of not needing a lot to be meeting your needs and to be happy, to be content, and to be satisfied. And for a lot of us, the practical application there is just to stop chasing that promotional treadmill that always says, okay, upgrade this and then you're going to have a better quality of life. Upgrade that and you're going to get to that next level and it's going to be good. If you've ever played Farmville, that mobile game where you build a little farm, it seems like it's a really cool game until you realize how terrible the monetization is, where they make a problem, specifically go out of their way to make a problem so that the player will then pay a ridiculous amount of money to fix it. Don't like that. But anyway, when you're playing Farmville, you're going to have a barn, and the barn's going to have a certain amount of space in it, and the more stuff you do, the more stuff you have in your barn, and then you run out of space, and then you got to save these upgrade supplies so that you can use them to upgrade the size of your barn. So ironically, the solution to fixing your barn space problem is to hoard more materials in your limited barn space, which you're going to need to upgrade the barn. Then when you do upgrade the barn, you now don't have all of those supplies that you were saving because you spent them for the purpose of upgrading, which is great because now they're gone, and you have a little more barn space than you had before. But very quickly, the game is going to pressure you to do more activities that are going to require more space. So almost immediately, you're going to be right back where you started, and maybe the numbers are going to be higher, but the overall experience is totally unchanged. You're fighting barn space shortage, and you're right back into that loop of being just a little bit shy of having what you need to have enough space. And the game is designed that way so that you will never actually get anything in return for your efforts. You will feel like you achieved something, and that'll just be another stepping stone to give you access to another carrot that is going to be dangling in front of you to say, okay, if you grind some more, then you can level up some more. And that's kind of how it works in life. People chasing jobs, and they're chasing a better house, and they're chasing a better car, and they're sitting in line at the Starbucks, and there's rewards, and there's credit card rewards, and there's stars that you get for buying coffee, and punch cards, and all sorts of different things that are out there telling you you gotta next level it up so that you can get past where you are and to that next stage where things are going to be better. But the game is designed so that once you get there, then you're in the same exact situation. It's just the number is higher, but the experience is unchanged. And if you spend your whole life trying to get bigger, trying to get better, trying to level up more, and you don't just stop it and reach a place in your life where enough is enough, then you're always going to be chasing. But the secret is, if you are okay being small, if you're okay enjoying life the way it is, if you're okay saying it is enough, and then you stop chasing, then you are going to be able to have a lot more than you ever would have if you're continually reinvesting all of your progress into trying to get even more. So remember the mammoths, the battleships, the big box stores, the great empires, all of the things that have tried to be big and failed. And take it to heart that sometimes in life, no matter who you are, where you are, what you are, the uncommon skill is actually the simplest of them, because it's the art of being small. Thank you very much. Bye now.